difficult, both in terms of morale and humanitarian issues. The occupier is not providing any official humanitarian corridors for the 4th month already. The corridors that would be available for humanitarian aid. There are constant shelling of the region from the side of Dnipropetrovsk region in a number of communities. The enemy once again tries to get to the border of the region, and it's very difficult to people in many villages. The humanitarian situation is critical. There is no possibility of communication, no medicines, etc. Wherever there are no combat operations, the enemy attempts to establish some life according to their orders. So, for instance, the illegal governor of Kherson region yesterday held the meeting with Kherson schools. So I would like to express great respect to the principals of the schools. Actually, only 20 representatives out of 70 were present, and at that meeting, where they were encouraged to get ready for the new curriculum, to travel to the Crimea, to Eupatoria for some postgraduate education. Basically, all of the principals left, and that it wasn't interesting to them. So it shows how brave they are. It shows that Kherson region is not welcoming the occupiers and their rules, and the Kherson region is waiting for liberation. Each day we are speaking to people, sharing what the government is doing, how we are able to provide all the social benefits and the regular pay to the medical professionals and to the teachers. So what are we doing to prevent such kinds of meetings? So that was attempted yesterday, and the pressure on people? Well, we can only say that the liberation of Kherson region is ahead, and all of this will stop only when the occupiers leave our land. And meanwhile, we will have this reality continuing. So if you have any questions here in this room, please raise your hand, and meanwhile I will ask about other things we hear from the occupied territories. We can hear from our intelligence agencies that the enemy is strengthening its positions, and there is information about the third line of defense that is being established by the Russians. What does this mean in practice? I confirm the thing you have shared. Indeed, the occupier has launched a number of plants stolen from the Ukrainian business. The plants producing concrete, cement, and they are taken off some of the road material, and it is used to strengthen their position. So they will attempt to hold these territories they have occupied, but all of this is known to our head staff of the Ukrainian armed forces. It was discussed on many occasions, and once the necessary weapons arrive, no temporary constructions or lines of defense will save the occupier, and they will just leave our land. So does this mean that at the current stage the occupiers stop their attempts to actively advance? You know, from the side of Dnipropetrovsk region, we have daily shellings of the territory, and I believe, and other specialists believes so too. The occupiers want to get to the border between Kherson and Dnipropetrovsk region, but they are failing in this, and they will fail in this. Do we have any questions in the room? Hello, I am Tetiana Zhkovina, Ukraine Forum. My question is about the government payments, the bonuses in Kherson region. Could you please give any numbers? Thank you. This is the most important issue for us right now. So far, we have been paying all the social benefits in Kherson region, except for the Hennadii territorial community. This has to do with the rapid seizure of this community on the 24th of February, and the local government of this community now has no keys to their digital tools. But I spoke to the locals, I spoke to the principals of schools in Hennadii, and by the end of May or in early June, we will be able to process all the payments in that territory as well. In all the rest territorial communities, except for some case-by-case situations, we are successfully making the payments. There are no payments problems except for Hennadii, but we will be dealing with the situation. And can you please share about the regional level social institutions? I'm in the centers for social services that are operating right now, but they inform that the employees are not getting the pay and they are still working. I need to get more details about the exact names of social centers. Indeed, in some territorial communities, there are case-by-case challenges, but on the global level, all the payments are being completed except for the city of Hennadii. And is there any confirmation about the attempts to issue Russian passports in the occupied territories? No, we do not have such information. This is not confirmed so far. What we can surely see is that products are being imported from the temporarily occupied territory of the Crimea. And unfortunately, we should recognize that some products are also exported to the territory of Crimea. And so, for instance, the grain, the vegetables are being exported there. There are kilometers of lines of cargo vehicles. So, does it mean that these goods are further exported to the Russian Federation? It means, first and foremost, the products are brought out of Kherson region. And unfortunately, these are not only the products that the occupiers managed to rob from the farmers of Kherson region, but also these are the products of some Ukrainian manufacturers, and it's a pain to admit that, but unfortunately, some business people are actually selling these products for money. And what are the scopes of these products? Well, thousands of tons, tens of thousands of tons of grain, of vegetables, whatever is produced in Kherson region. We are also getting information about the ecological risks that have to do with Kakhovka water reservoir and the need to sustain the level of the water. What are exactly these risks about? I have commented on this on air before. There was such problem, but I have personally talked to the first deputy of the legally elected mayor of Nova Kakhovka, Oleg Terabaga, who spoke to the management of the electric power station, and according to him, the situation is controlled. The two gates were opened. There was some drop of the water, but there is no environment catastrophe there. The same can be said about the fires that were already extinguished. So in these two important issues, the situation is normalized. Any other questions from the room? Okay, I also have a question about retired people who have not managed to make the bank cards, and right now they cannot do this. So what should they do in this situation? Since the first days of the occupation, we all know that Kherson region was occupied first, and this was the problem we were dealing with since day one. The retired people who did not have these banking cards for years, maybe could not make these cards or didn't want to do so, they were getting the money in cash through the Ukrainian system of post offices. I would not like to go into detail on this, but these were truly heroic efforts to deliver the money to the region. So this issue is being dealt with, and all the retired people either will get their pension or have received the money already. And I actually answer the phone calls from the retired people, from the mothers getting their social benefits. And so I'm always staying in touch, and the government will readily pay to everyone. Thank you. And we have a question here in this room. Yaroslav Shambarovsky, Japanese TV. Do civilians have a possibility to leave for the controlled territory, government-controlled area? Thank you for your question. Since May 11th, the situation is very complicated for the evacuation of people. Initially, it was possible to travel to the territory of Mykolaiv region, and we are grateful to that region for the support, for hosting our people, for supporting the humanitarian need, and the people moved further afterwards. Once this possibility was closed and the convoys of cars, people who do not want to live under occupation, people started to travel to Kryvyi Rih, Berislav, etc. And again, we are very grateful to the local governments of that territory. 5 humanitarian hubs were established, but somewhere between 11th and 15th of May, this has stopped. Only about 10 to 15 cars were able to escape. And so there was this tragedy when a convoy was shot at. Right now, there is no possibility to escape the region. So before this conversation, I had a discussion about the evacuation to Vasilievka, Zaporizhia region, but these are only single cases. Right now, it is practically impossible to leave the region. Another question is about the agricultural issues. Were you able to complete the sowing campaign, and can we now confirm that Ukraine will have much less, or will have no usual fruits and vegetables this year? Yeah, this is a very important issue. We were indeed providing food both for Ukraine and for other countries as well. Right now in Kherson region, there are 3 main areas in my assessment. The first one is, the agribusiness that is not doing anything this year. in terms of their usual spring sowing campaign. The second group is a group that had some fuel, and it's no secret that some agri-producers have some storage of fuel and pesticides, herbicides, etc. since the fall of the previous year. So wherever there were no problems with minefields, etc., they were able to plant and sow. And there is yet another a group of agri-producers that collaborate with the new de facto governments. They are buying the fuel and fertilizers in the occupied Crimea, and they are also selling their products to that region. So, of course, we should confirm that our government, our state will not receive the products it usually received from Kherson region, and that's what I can share. Okay, we will end here. This was Hennadii Lahuta, the military governor of Kherson. One final question. This will be the last one.
I'm from NHK, Japanese Public TV. You mentioned that they occupied the concrete plant and seized the road materials. And what do you see the main purpose of that? What are they planning to do with that kind of material?
So, an easy answer to your question is that uh, we had a well-known street in Kherson, Parovozная Street, and the concrete plates from that street were taken off, and they are using them to strengthen their checkpoints, their positions, basically. That's what the intention they have. Thank you. This was Hennadii Lahuta, the military governor of Kherson region. Glory to Ukraine.